Welcome to the Music Business Buddy, the podcast decoding how the modern music industry actually works. I'm Jonny Amos, industry consultant, artist manager, producer, educator, and author of The Music Business for Music Creators. Every Wednesday, I explore the ideas, technology, and industry shifts shaping the future of music. This show helps creators navigate the rapidly changing business of music. Okay, so in this week's session, I am joined by one of New York City's finest 21st century songsmiths, a young man by the name of TenRoc. If you've never heard of TenRoc before, as a writer-producer, he has contributed to the careers of people like Jon Bellion, Rihanna, the Jonas brothers, Julia Michaels. This could be a long list, by the way. He's still only 26 years old, but he has achieved so much, and he is now putting out an album as an artist. He has a fascinating story. It's all captured within the things that I asked him about in this week's interview, and I'm going to play it now. TenRoc, it's good to meet you, man. Really good to meet you.
Likewise.
You're in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm in New York, Queens.
Oh, wow. Oh, do you know what? It really is my favorite city in the whole world. I love New York.
I absolutely love it too. I literally don't see myself ever leaving here. People always ask me like, yo, like you got to come to LA or like, you got to come to Nashville, you know, and I've been to those cities, they're great. But there's just something about New York that like, I think I'm going to be here for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, I'd say that's time well spent. It's a beautiful, special, magnificent place. So no, I don't blame you at all, man. TenRoc, you've worked with some big artists, right, across a lot of different genres. K-pop and hip-hop and R&B, singer-songwriter. But the role of a producer, right, there's a lot of variables to it, right? When you first kind of go into a session, let's say like with an artist and you're the producer, how do you figure out what your role is creatively with them?
That's great. I mean, typically what happens is it depends on like who else is in the room, you know? And so I've been in sessions where there's, there's two writers and the artist is also a writer in the room. And then there's another producer that plays keys. And so those were kind of like the Leroy sessions. They were kind of like that. And so my role was like, yo, I'm just going to do the drums. Like, I'm going to do the drums. I'm going to do the bass. I'll play guitar, but I'm probably not going to play keys and I'm probably not going to write because those people are already there.
Yeah.
Then I've had sessions where, with my buddy Corbin, where we have one other writer and it's just me and him. And so I'm kind of producing everything and writing, and we have a co-writer and he writes. And so it all just depends on, who else is in the room. And I've learned over the years kind of how to like navigate that and just fit in my little puzzle piece.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because that's a tough one, right? For producers sometimes to kind of go, right, am I writing the song here? Am I just
sure.
laying down some tracks? Am I just gonna mix what those loops you send me? Like, but I suppose a part of the art form there is kind of trying to balance that and figure it out, But
Definitely.
I'd say you're doing a fine job of it, sir. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you know, for there's a lot of people out there that create music that kind of tend to sometimes think that success might come from like one big placement or like, one, whatever a hit record is in this day and age, right? But your success, your career, let's say, is kind of built on relationships and consistency. What would you say were like the key relationships or habits, perhaps, that actually moved your career forward behind the scenes?
That's awesome. I feel like all of the stuff that has moved my career forward has been things that I feel fulfilled, like after I make them. There's some things you work on and it's like, okay, cool. That was fun and I did that and it was great. And I'm sure it'll be big and like people will, resonate with it. But you don't necessarily feel fulfilled after. And for some reason, there's certain projects like that where, after having worked on them, I'm like, man, I really feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, you know? Um, and it's been those projects that have moved my career forward, you know?
Yeah.
And like you said, even, all the connections I make, I've made so many connections that like we meet and we work on songs, and even if those songs don't come out, the connection remains. And it's those sort of connections that have done a ton for me, as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because you might be with the right people, um, and you just didn't get the song you were looking for that day, but it doesn't mean
Yep,
you're not gonna get it another day with those same people.
exactly.
Yeah. Um, you're, you're a producer that's moved, this year into being the artist, right? Um, that must be really exciting. Was that always like a part of the plan?
It's funny that it was really never a part of the plan. Um, I love just being behind the scenes. I love, no one really knowing who I am, just being able to like make a ton of really sick, cool sounding things, and then just like sending the artist up with it. Like, all right, yo, I gave you some heat. Like, go do your thing, go tour and do all these interviews and do your thing. It was never really in my plans. But there was one day last year that I had been driving and I felt God speak to me in my spirit. Um, and he basically commanded me to make um, an album that was, you know, speaking and singing about him in a really explicit manner. And so saying, Jesus and God, not these like generic songs that are just inspirational. God told me to make songs about him, and that so people would know that they're about him.
Wow, that's powerful. Geez. Okay, so you had to be the person to carry that as opposed to, finding another vehicle or another lane for it. Interesting. Wow. Your work as, let's say, as a producer, as well as an artist, your productions feel very kind of emotional and a kind of cinematic, but also they also sound very kind of commercially competitive, of course, right? What is your process for kind of trying to get that balance right between that sort of trying to get the emotion in, but also trying to get that slick, glossy kind of sound? Like that must be tough. You do a really good job of it. Like, is there any kind of has that just been years of like working hard, or did you kind of if you stumbled across a little formula that you feel works in different way, in different places?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I feel like the emotion part has sort of always been there. Um, Even like when I was younger and making these sort of like unfinished like scraps of ideas, they always felt emotional because I think that is something that's just embedded in somebody. Um, the commercial part of it is something that I had to build and like practice a lot. And so like when I was younger, I started producing on a MacBook when I was 7 years old. It was like the first time I actually began producing in GarageBand. What I would do is I would spend hours on end, like every single day, just looking at the charts, looking at the pop charts, and recreating those sounds like one for one, like trying to make them sound as close as possible, mix wise, sound selection wise. And so I think it was kind of the years of doing that built that commercial thing of like me being able, like in my mind, like, oh, like this is how a radio song should sound and feel. This is how the drums should hit. This is how loud the bass should be. Like just kind of recreating other people's hits has given me that sort of instinct. But I think the emotion was always there. It's just now I'm able to sort of, merge the two and apply them together.
Wow, you were that's really interesting. You were 7 years old doing that on
Yeah,
GarageBand.
7. Yeah,
That's crazy. I think that set some kind of new record. That's
maybe.
I'll tell you what, I wasn't doing that when I was 7 years old. Oh, wow, that's crazy, man.
For sure.
Wow, and so you were so that's because it all kind of started with like back engineering then, right? How do I make that sound like that? And that's what set you up. Wow, that's so interesting.
1,000%. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then
Yeah.
it's like you develop your taste as a result of kind of replicating something else that you've heard and going, I like that. I know how to do it. I now know how to do that myself in other
Exactly.
ways.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's exactly it.
Goodness me. And then it just got out of hand, and billions of streams later, you got a lot to answer for.
It just got out of hand. That's
Wow.
hilarious.
Do you know what? It's all got to start somewhere though, right? And
For sure.
but I've just never heard anybody say, yeah, 7 years old garage band. Like, wow, man, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And it was awesome. I mean, like my dad is still in this role, but he does tech. He's like into tech, and at the time he was working at this TV network, and he would bring home computers. He'd bring home MacBooks, laptops that he had been working on. Like people would bring him, laptops. Like this doesn't work. Can you fix it? And so the company would let him sort of use the laptops. And one day he comes home with a MacBook and he just gives it to me. He's like, "Hey, if you want to like watch YouTube on this or whatever, you can mess around with it." And I opened it. I found GarageBand, and I was like, "What is this thing?" And I opened it up, and GarageBand, they have a ton of loops and sounds built into it that you can use to sort of make beats and put loops together and make little compositions. And so I started doing that. And I was like, whoa, I can like make songs in this thing. That my 7-year-old brain was like, and at the time I had been listening to a ton of Justin Timberlake and Timbaland produced stuff, Pharrell produced stuff at that time. And so I started to remake that stuff. I started to remake like the Katy Perry things once that came out. I was really into pop music as a kid, and so those naturally were the things I was recreating and gravitating towards.
Wow. So did so that laptop then that that your dad gave you and said, "Hey, maybe watch YouTube or whatever." And so did that laptop, did it have to get like worked on, reconditioned and go back to somebody else, or did you get to keep it?
I got to keep it. I got to keep it for several years. And then we swapped and he gave me a newer one when I was like 12 or something. And so I got a newer MacBook Pro and it just kept going. He kept giving me like, "Hey, like I think, is that one getting a little slow?" He's like, "All right, just you take this one." And so then I started using Logic. When I was like
Ah.
10 or 11, I started using Logic Pro. And I've literally been on Logic Pro ever since. I just turned 26 and I've been using Logic Pro for like over a decade. It's really fun.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
so cool. I just had pictures in my mind then of like, some guy on the other side of New York get his laptop back. Yeah, thank you very much. It's been fixed now. And then all of a sudden this like bombshell drops on him, this Eureka beautiful moment where he says, "TenRoc learned how to produce on this thing. Right, I'm gonna keep this
Whoa.
old machine." Okay.
That's insane. I wonder where it is. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow,
That's
that's so
crazy. Yeah.
exciting. Now, I love things like that. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you do stuff on other DAW software now, or do you just solely work in Logic?
Yeah. So in the past like 5 or 6 years, I've been using FL Studio as well. Like in
Ah,
addition to it, FL Studio just has like whatever sound cards it uses, and like the soft clipper in it, it makes the drums sound really, really good, especially like for rap and hip hop. Um, I'm typically gonna use that. If you ever see me like make a rap song or like a hip hop record, it's probably the drums have probably been made in FL.
interesting. Okay,
Hmm.
so let's say you've done that process in FL. Would you like bounce those out of there and put them back in Logic as audio to carry on working on a mix and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Okay,
Bounce
yeah.
the stems, throw them in Logic. Nowadays I sort of have some workarounds to how to get the clipping sound of FL in Logic. And so I've been using Logic a little more alone.
Ah.
Like I haven't used FL in a little while. But there's tricks. It's just like all clipping and saturation and stuff.
Okay, you're still
Um
back engineering. You can't let that
I'm
7-year-old go.
every single day, I'm back engineering. Always. Yeah, always.
Wow. That's so cool. I love that. Thank you for like an insight into your
For
process as
sure.
well. It's really interesting to know
For
that kind of
sure.
stuff. Tell me something about about major label sessions or working with like top artists that newer producers might misunderstand, like something around the creative process, because you're involved with so many different processes, right? Like I was reading about Jon Bellion's Wash and like how many different people were in that process. And it's like, obviously you understand, like, right, I'm going to click in here because that's what's needed here. Over there, I'm going to click in there and that's what's needed there, right? But is there anything like about those kind of sessions that you go into that might be useful to know for like younger emerging producers?
Yeah. Um, I think an important thing is actually just that is like learning how to fit where you fit and not imposing on the session. Because I think early on, like a big thing is like wanting to prove yourself and like wanting to be like, yo, like I'm good. I'm good at what I do. Like I want people to understand that and see like what I can do. Um, but that's usually not like what it requires, what the song requires to be good. Sometimes a song requires like the minimum, like for Wash, like I did the drums and we had the chords and then I kind of just sat back and I'm like, let me let him just flow and find what it is, you know? And a lot of times working with Bellion, it's awesome. Because his mind is just insane. And he'll have all these really weird ideas that kind of take a long time to get to. But at the end of them, it's worth it. But you have to be willing to kind of just like sit back and write it out, you know? And that's something that when I was younger, I probably wouldn't have understood. And I didn't when I was starting sessions. I just wanted everything to go quick and like I wanted to do everything myself. I wanted people to see how sick I was, how all my talents and all this. When really it's like, let me just sit back and like kind of just wait and see what the room needs,
Right. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
patience, really.
Yeah. 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 Very, very, very good point. Yeah. Cause you play like a lot of different instruments, right?
I do. So I play guitar, bass, drums, and keys. Um, it's so funny. Last week I just started learning trumpet. So I'm learning trumpet now. It's going really well too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um, did you say just last week?
Yeah, last week I started learning trumpet. Yeah.
Geez, that's such an unusual sentence. Last week I started learning trumpet.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You
my
just pick it
cousin's
up real
teaching it.
quick, right? Just are
Yeah,
you one of
yeah.
those people that, yeah.
Yeah, and I also have this. I got this too, a
Oh wow.
violin. And
Okay.
so sometimes I'll put this on records. I'm really bad at it. Like I'm really bad at playing it, technically. But I can like get what I need sort of like in a pinch. If I just need like stabs or something, I can just do it. My mic's right here. And so I just
Ah,
have like all this stuff in here.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know, I had a conversation on here a few weeks back with a couple of like TV composers from Bleeding Fingers, Hans Zimmer's guys. And they were talking very, very, very similarly to you in that regard. They were like, they got loads of stuff around them because they're under such pressure to kind of like make sounds original. And so they would like sample like, like a clarinet and then put it inside Serum 2 as like a
Yeah.
wavetable and all this kind of, I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's interesting. So if you pluck something on there and you just want to chuck it into a sampler and get it to where you want to go,
Yeah.
then only you has got that sound, right? No one else has got that sound.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm,
And that's how you get that unique stuff that people are like, what patch is that? And it's like you can't get it. Like I made that patch. Now that's the
yeah,
stuff that nerd stuff. I really love that. I'm into
yeah,
that.
yeah. That's very, very interesting. Um, okay, so let's leap back in time. Final question, right? So, if you were to, I'm trying to think of the best way of phrasing this, right? Because you're young, but you started such a long time ago. So if you were to start out as a producer like today, like this year, 2026, and
Okay.
start from like nothing, no contacts, no credits, no industry access, nothing, like what would your strategy be? Like going from like the very beginning, what would you start with as a producer?
That's incredible. Wow, that's a great question. Um, I suppose um I'd probably start with just learning about songs. Um, and so like learning about song structure. And that's something I use. That is like I believe what makes me a good producer. It's not like like I play instruments and that's great and stuff, but um just over the years working with the people I've been working with, I know about song structure. And so like I know what a verse is, I know what a chorus is, I know what a bridge is. I know when those things are needed in a song. I know when a song is too long. I know when a song feels too short. And so that is like that's priceless stuff. Like you can't really teach that. And so I would probably study that before obviously you're making your drafts and everything. Um, but the thing for me when I was starting is that I was really good at making stuff that sounded cool, but I didn't know how to finish a song. Like
Ah,
I just didn't know like how to finish one. So all my songs were like a minute long. And it wasn't until I started doing sessions and, working with Bellion that he was like, yo, like the thing that gets you paid is knowing how to finish songs. Because not many people know how to finish songs. Everyone
yeah.
knows how to start a song. Not many people know how to finish. And so I would study that. I would kind of focus on that, while creating.
That's very interesting. Yeah. Do you know, I'm just thinking about some of the younger artists and producers that I'm around sometimes, and that is a big barrier for them. Actually, they might have like an A and a B, and it's like a minute long, and it sounds great, and it's got all the potential in the world, but it just sits on the desktop doing nothing because it's like, how do you get it from that into like that next thing? So actually, song structure, yeah, that's a very, very good point. Very underrated skill, in fact.
Song structure is like huge and it takes maturity, which it sounds like exaggerated and it's like, dude, you just finish it. It's really not that simple. Like a lot of hit records are hit records because of the structure and because of the way the pre comes in and the hook comes in. And then if it were to go into a post, you would lose people's attention. So sometimes you have to go right back into V2. It's like things like that, that are just priceless. And, I'm grateful enough to have learned them early on.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very, very good point. Um, actually, can I ask you one more question?
Please.
Um, okay, it's about music publishing because it's a subject that I get a lot of questions about because a lot of people get kind of confused about like what music publishers do and whatnot. Um, could you talk to us about what your expectations are of a music publisher? Is it just solicitation and setting up collaborations? Is it help with collection? Is it an expectation on sync exploitation? What are the things that you sort of expect from a music publisher?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, um, just so you know, I'm not really like into like the business side of things. Like I kind of am just I'm very creative and like I love my team. I love my manager because I'm like, yo, can you just handle that? Like I just want to cook, you know? Um, for real.
A great
But
sentence.
yeah, I just want to cook. But the thing that
Americans are so much better with language than we are. Like, I just want to cook. Like, I know what you mean, but
yeah, I just
like,
want to cook.
like the way that we'd say that though is like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, would you mind just helping out with that little bit there, just while we work on this thing? And you just say, I just want to cook. Like, that's so
I
much
just want
cooler.
I just want to cook. Like you deal with that over there. I'm trying to cook, bro. And so, but I will say something that I admire in a publisher is them having a good ear, having a good ear and being able, and not just looking at who's big and like, yo, let's set up a session between you and this person. They're huge. Like it'll be great. That doesn't necessarily mean we would work together. It doesn't mean our sounds would mesh well together. It doesn't mean our processes are compatible. And so having someone that is like they've seen how they've seen how other people work, they've seen how you work, and they're like, "Oh, wow. These two people would be insane because you're a lyric guy, he's a melody guy." he's, you know, he plays guitar, you play keys. It's so things like that where like it's not just cut and dry and going by stats of like, yeah, well, you know, he's huge. Like just work with him. Or like he just did this song, like work with him. I've done sessions like that, and then it's been like I actually hated that. I probably am not going to work with that person again because our processes didn't really mesh well. You know, we were clashing a little bit. Um, but it's been people that like aren't necessarily the biggest writer in the world, but just we work really well together because of the processes we have, because of the inclinations we have, because of our instincts melodically and or lyrically. You know, they just fit together. And so having someone, you know, a publisher that is able to discern that and be like, oh, I've seen how these two people work. I think they would make magic together.
Yeah.
Having someone that understands that aspect of it is huge to me.
That's a very good point. Yeah, yeah. That it takes a certain amount of thoughtfulness there, right? Not just like names on paper, but like I think they
Yeah.
get on well as people, you know.
Exactly.
Or,
Just as people, I think they'd get along.
yeah, yeah. Do you know what I bet they say about you? I bet they say, just let him cook. Let him cook. just
let me cook. Let me cook.
Make him a cup of coffee. Get that laptop open and let him cook.
Let me cook. That's it. That's literally it.
That's the quote of the year, man. I love that quote.
I just want to cook. Facts. Facts.
Ten, I know you're a busy boy, so I will let you go. But before I do, I want to say a massive thank you to you, right, for your contribution here today. And good luck, right, with the album, with everything you're doing, and just, you know, keep being you, man. You're great.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. For real, this was fun.
Pleasure. Oh, what a lovely dude. Do you know what? You can see, can't you, why so many people want to have him in on their session, right? Not only is he absolutely superb musically, of course, but he's such a great guy, right? And that should be a lesson to everybody, shouldn't it? You know, he is the guy that you want in the room, not just because of what he can do, but because of who he is, right? A fine example for us all. Anyway, that's enough from me today. I hope that you enjoyed that interview. I know I certainly enjoyed talking to him. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Until next time, have a great day and may the force be with you.